Okay everybody, welcome back to part 2 of our front axle swap on the TRX4. We are replacing the front axle with a steel axle tube. Okay, welcome back. For those of you who did not catch the first video in the series, I recommend go back if you need to. Removing the axle, it isn't really that difficult. It's pretty straightforward, but for those that do need the information, be sure to go back and find that first video in the series. I'll get a link up on this video as soon as I can. In that previous video, you saw us remove the front axle. Now what we want to do is we want to get all the pieces off of the axle so we can go ahead and replace that axle housing. We're going to start by taking out the kingpins. Bring that camera in for a better view for you guys. Now be very careful because these kingpin screws are shorter than most of the rest of the screws on the front end. You don't want to mix those up because you'll end up driving too long of a screw into a place where it doesn't belong, and suddenly your steering will end up with extra resistance on it, if it even steers at all. You could end up putting extra pressure on the steering servo. You could end up putting extra pressure on the bearing. Now, I'm sure you guys saw these little guys drop out. These are little bushings that slide into the C-hub. You want to make sure you don't lose those. In fact, off camera here, well, it might have been on camera. I'm just sliding those little retainers right back onto the proper screws so that way I don't mix them up. You already saw with those two screws, the steering block came right out. The axle, because there's a CVD in there, the axle stays attached. Now this truck is a little bit dirty, but I'm not going to take the time to clean all that off because the very first time I run it, all that dirt's going right back on. So that little bit isn't going to hurt a thing. There's the screw. There's that little bushing again. We'll spin that bad boy around. And we'll get the other screw and slide that little bushing right back out. There we have it. Your axle tubes, or your steering blocks and your axles are out of the tube. Now, we still have a few things to take off here. We've got to get the C-hubs. We've got to get the drive shaft. We've got to get the cable. And of course, we need the differential, which is under the case. So, where do you want to start? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and start right here. On the back side of the diff, we've got 4 screws. Yeah, I'm so glad I have this power tool. Saves so much time here. I know this isn't exactly the thrilling part of the video, but don't worry, it will get better. One of the things that we're going to talk about while I'm working here is what I'd like to do with this YouTube channel. Well, for starters, I want to get all this information out here to help you guys out with whatever you need. So in the comments below, just, throw something out there. If there's something particular you'd like to see. We'd like to be helpful. We do our best here at House of Hobbies. We may not get it right every time, but doggone it, we do hope that you're entertained while you're here. And as I get comfortable on cam and get used to this all over again, things will get better, things will get more exciting, things are going to be more fun. Now we need to get that small little E-clip off there. hoping, yeah, that's not going to do it. Got to reach back for yet another tool that I did not grab, that I should have grabbed. I apologize. Just need a small screwdriver, something with a flat blade on it, so we can reach in and grab that little E-clip. Leave it to me to grab the little gun by the trigger. This is why I don't shoot guns in the real world. Okay, we got the little E-clip off. We're also going to need our trusty needle nose pliers. This cable does have to come out of the front of the diff, so what we need to do is grab this very carefully. Okay, we'll get the good view on that. See, I'm grabbing just below that little black cup. Now we twist counterclockwise to loosen that and take it right off the end of the cable. Now I'm hoping that the audio is still working well. I should be in good shape. I have decided that I do not like this microphone that I'm using, so I will be looking for a better replacement. Now I'm going to get under there again with my little flat-bladed screwdriver, and I just need to carefully pry that little lever out of there. And then we just twist her off the end right there and set it aside. Differential now drops right out. We can set that aside. Now to keep from dirt getting on there, I'm just setting it right inside the diff cover. Safest place for it. And now we can pull the cable right through the front. Set it aside. Now we still have our pinion gear in there, we still have our shock mounts, we still have our axle tube still stuck on the end. So next up we're going to, because we still have that same size bit on our screwdriver, I'm going to take the shock mounts off. Now notice that I did just leave those screws right in the shock mounts. That way they don't get lost or mixed up or put in some hole they don't belong. All the way out definitely helps get those shock mounts off the axle. Okay, that's that. Next up we need to change bits. Find our tiniest of tiny bits here. This should be the correct one for the screw pin holding the drive shaft on. Sure enough, that's the one. Screw pin is out. Now, with the screw pin, I will just set that aside right next to the drive shaft. I don't have to worry about mixing that up. Now, the pinion is still in there. All we got to do is push that out, give it a tap, comes right out. Set it aside. Now we have two bearings in here. They are two different sizes. So when you go to put them back in, make sure you get the right side in the right place. Notice I just got underneath that one. I pried it up. Now we can come through here, just push that through. That takes care of the bearings. Now I don't have to worry about the bearing replacement because this truck only has, maybe 2 hours of runtime on it. So there's a lot of things that I'm just plain not going to do. I'm not going to re-grease the diff. I'm keeping those parts over where they'll be kept clean for this rebuild, so there's plenty of grease on those gears already. At least my gears. Some people have reported that they haven't found much, if any, grease on their axle or on their differentials, but for me, for this truck, there's plenty there. Now you see I've already started, of course, on the C-hubs. 3 screws, takes those off. Trying to leave those screws right in the right holes. Okay, now this is where it does get important. Okay. These C-hubs are designed to be at a particular angle. Okay. You don't want to mix them up from one side to the other. So, looking at the back of the axle, this is the left side, short side. And this side, of course, is the right side or the long side. Now, some people are probably wondering, why the steel axle tubes? What's wrong with the plastic ones? Well, there's nothing wrong with the plastic ones. They're very strong. It isn't very often that you see anybody breaking one. So why replace it? Why fix it after just an hour of runtime on the truck? Well, it's a matter of sprung weight versus unsprung weight. Unsprung. Let me say that. I want to get as much weight down low as possible, like anybody, because I will be eventually putting my GoPro in the driver's seat. So that'll add weight to the top side. So I need to counteract that with some weight on the lower side. So the axle tube is just one of many things I'm going to do to get more unsprung weight. So there it is, though. The front axle is stripped completely. Now we're going to take our new steel pretty, and we're going to reverse the entire process. This is probably going to be the longest video of this three-part series. Should only take a few minutes to put the axle back into the truck once it is rebuilt. So I do apologize if this seems to be a little drawn out for some of you. If you're confident that you can finish this build, or the rebuild, without watching every last step, then awesome. Go ahead, jump in, grab your truck, grab your tools, grab your parts, make it happen. Some of you might want to watch this to the end. Never know what surprises might come about. I don't have anything surprise in mind for the video. There's not going to be any secret hidden information. So if you're confident that you can refinish reassembly on this, just go ahead and jump into part 3 of the series, where I reinstall this axle back into the truck. For the rest of you, though, we're going to keep trucking along here, no pun intended. Oh, my screwdriver. My screwdriver, I should have charged it. This job might end up taking on a whole new time frame. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Okay, first thing we do is drop the differ in there. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to feed the trusty cable. Yeah, let's feed it the right way. What do you think? Good idea? Probably. Feed the cable back through. Then we get the shifting lever. Being nearsighted again does not help. There we go. Get the old shifting lever in place so that way when we... There we go. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and put the cover back on already. we find our 4 cap head screws. Now the cap head screw, they're the ones that have the big fat head like that. Okay, button head, these are the round tops. Hope you can see the difference there. Some of that video does look a little grainy because, well, I am trying to work on a blue screen effect here to help with contrast. Some cool factor. Well, maybe not so much cool factor, just trying to help with visibility so you guys can hopefully see better what's going on some of this stuff. Oh yeah, hey, pure genius. I hope you guys are laughing as much as I am, because obviously I'm laughing out loud. What did we forget to do? Oh, sorry. I said we. What did I forget to do? This happens. Got to talking, and we forgot. You guys didn't remind me to put the bearings in. Oh, look. A little too fat to fit in there. A little too fat to fit in there. What else is going to go in with the bearings? Yeah. Now, I don't mind showing you guys this because, well, you know what? Mistakes happen. And I'd rather show you guys that we're not perfect. We don't get it right every single time. And again, we're going to hope that you guys are entertained while you're here. Get that back in there. Hey, look. Look, Mom. No hands. Oh, wait. No, there's hands. Sorry about the babbling. Mistakes happen, though. So, what is... What is one of the funniest things you've ever done where you've put your RCs back together, thought you had everything in there, only to turn around and realize that one of the single most critical parts of your rebuild you didn't have in place, which cost you just as much time as if you'd have done it the first time. Leave your comments below. Again, none of us are perfect. Let's have some fun with this. Your funniest, or maybe most regretful miss on a simple rebuild that went wrong. Yeah, you can go ahead and pause the video and type up your comment. That's cool. Now we can drive these 4 screws in. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be putting everything back into the truck. That'll, of course, be in the third part of this series. Now, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and get that ball cut back on the end of the cable. It should thread on easy enough where you can just pinch it with your fingers. If not, well, grab your pliers again. No big deal. Okay. Let's see what else I can screw up here. The Panhard mount should be on this side. I left the long screw in, which went in from the outside, so that tells me that this is the side for the Panhard. At least let's see. Looks like I will put this into post-production and trim some fat. First it didn't seem to want to go, but everything is okay there. Screwdriver is dying. Hopefully we're going to make it to the end of this video. I'm going to get it on the charger for a little bit while I trim the fat and move on to the third video in the series. You can see though the axle is going back together rather nicely. So now we can get our C-hub or get our steering block back in. It should be relatively easy to get these back in place. Don't forget those small bushings. Your truck will not function properly without them, that's for sure. If you have trouble finding or sliding that axle in, just grab a hold of your hex there and rotate it and get that axle spun around internally to where it lines up with the grooves on the differential, and it should slide right in. And we just got to find the hole, my life story. Now we're going to leave the steering link off. We'll put that back on when we actually put the truck back together. Reason for that is I just don't like having it in the way for some of the other things that we're going to be doing. So we're just going to slide the drive shaft in, and that's going to bring this part of the video series to a close. There you go. Whew. She's a thing of beauty, isn't she? Can't wait to get that on the truck and run it. Well, once again, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for this one. This is just part 2 of the 3-part series. So be sure to look for part 3 in this series where we reinstall that axle back into the front end of the truck. We'll see you guys real soon. Thanks again.